Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. A strange video today, and it won't be a long one, at least I hope it won't, given the subject matter. We're going to find something to throw away. There's got to be something out here that needs throwing away. Some would say the cymbidium would be a good place to start, but I've decided it's staying in here. It's going to live on the bench. And it's highly likely it's going to have a friend, but that's a separate thing, so we won't worry about that. So we're looking for things to throw away. On this shelf, this is a very poorly Cattleya, not doing very well at all, and its latest growth is weak, and it came out from halfway up the plant, so the roots are not getting down in the media. The trouble is, if I take that part of the plant out, which is the good bit, to get the roots down into something, I'm going to end up removing a hell of a lot of the plant, and these pseudobulbs have got some storage capacity. So we'll hang on to it, perhaps think about it. Now my Hercoglossum's in a sorry state, but it has got one new growth. Now as far as my Dendrobiums are concerned, the ones that got moved to mounts this year have done very well. All of the things on mounts previously have not done very well. So it looks like starting them again in this environment on a mount is not a bad idea. So we might actually uproot this, because there's a fair bit of the plant I think is dead, like this section over here. But there is a section here that's alive, and there are some canes with some green on. Not much. It's in a bad way, but it's not gone. Now my Victoria Regina has had a relapse, because that started pushing up a new growth, and that new growth has failed. So we now don't have a new growth on that. And it's difficult to know what to do with it. It's only got one cane with leaves on, and it's reluctant to grow any roots, but I'm not throwing that away, not yet. This little thing here is an Encyclia Shinfong Thomas, and it has got a new growth, and that new growth is growing some roots. Luckily, or that would have been on the list. Now that is going out. That's the last remnants of my warm growers. That's my Arangus. So that's going. What was left of the plant was two tiny little pieces, and they failed. So that's going out. That will free up a mount for something else perhaps. On this shelf, the only likely candidates are the two little Miltonias at the back, but both of those have got new growths pushing on, so they may well recover. This shelf up here, there's nothing in a bad enough way to even consider throwing out. Even my little epidendrum looks in a sorry state, but it has got a couple of new growths on it. So, you know, it's sort of pulling on, it's trying. So when things try, we give them a chance. Down on this shelf, there's nothing in a bad enough way to think about throwing away, although there are some things not doing that well. Out of the larger Miltonias, two are hanging on. One's not bad and one's hanging on. And the one from Insa via Burnham's, that's got new growths coming. So my three zygos at the back are all doing something, so they can stay. That's all cymbidiums up there and down there, so we won't even be thinking about that. Out of the mounted orchids, the little Jenkinsii has grown some new growths and has pushed out some roots. It's currently resting, and it's resting with a good number of green leaves and a reasonable number of bulbs. I wouldn't be surprised to see a flower spike on that, but it won't be any more than one. And then that is a phyllum, as is that, both resting at the moment. This should be resting, but it's decided to push up some new growth, so this gets a trickle now and again. And that's Oh, I can never say that word. Where is it? Let's get it up the right way. We might have a chance. Bryonianum or something like that anyway. But it's growing. That came from Lynn. Gorgeous flowers if we ever see them. This dendrobium here is actually nobly the species, and it's the variety Cooksonianum. I think that's what the variety is called. It's a single cane. It's currently resting. I'm not resting it to bloom it. I'm resting it because that's what it does this time of year. And then this one over here, I know the name tag's faded, so we won't be able to see what it is. The noise on the roof are leaves. That's actually oak leaves coming off the tree, dead leaves. But this has grown reasonably well this year. It's put on quite a bit of growth. I suspect that it's going to do, again, reasonably well next year. Out of the Deesas, I have one pot that's failed and another one that's not too happy. And those two are both the species that had the tiny flowers on. If I lose those, I'm not that sad, quite honestly. And there's another pot up there that doesn't look too clever. But this is not the growing season. What these should be doing is just getting established in the cold season. Right, so I've just got a handful of leaves I'm going to get rid of. There we go. Now on this top shelf, there's nothing that warrants dumping. But there is something not doing very well at all, which is my Shari baby. And that's gone beyond its boundaries, basically. It needs splitting. Old part of the plant is just collapsing. But, you know, I mean, there's a nice strong couple of new growths here, attached to a large bulb. There's some growth here. So I think there's a couple of sections on that plant that could do with separating off. This is not the right time of year to do that. What else have we got here? This is this Cambria thing, which is putting up with growths. My Noblies are all along the back there, they're all fine. Down here we've got Derek's plants up there, what's left of them. And what's left of them is okay. It sounds like rain, doesn't it? It's just leaves coming down. And then all along that back row there are either Odontoglossum types or a couple of my new Miltoniopsis. More odonts here and more Miltoniopsis. They're all okay. This shelf is Restrepias. Actually got quite a few blooms coming on this one back here. My Hibiki, nothing wrong with that. A couple more Restrepias down here. A couple of dead leaves on one of them, but it's not the plant. That's the, what the hell is that thing called? I've forgotten, but it's a dendrobium I was given. It's still got mealy bugs. They still keep popping up every now and again. I don't seem to be able to shift them at the moment. That's growing fine. That needs splitting up. It's outgrowing its pot. And all my Coelogenes except one are doing okay, but I'm not throwing that one out because it has got a new growth. This bit here is the new growth. It's got virtually no roots, so it's in a bad way, but it may pull on. It's being given a chance. Oh, there's one. We'll have that out in case that's got the dreaded Masdevallia leaf drop, which is it's not a virus. It's just an ailment that yeah, I was just going to say, and there goes the last few leaves. So that's gone. That's going out. That was Niceniae. I think Lynn gave me that, but it's just never got going. It just won't grow. So that's one of those gone. The rest of the Masdevallias are pulling on, or in some cases doing quite well. Yeah, but they're pulling on. You know, the rest of them aren't too bad. These, in the main, are rescues, so I wouldn't expect a lot of these. That's doing okay. That's a Oncidium intergeneric type. My Cunico has pulled on a bit this year. It's got some new growths and has some roots. That, I think that's Cherophorum, and that's not doing very well at all. but it's not gone yet. So, you know, it can be given a chance to push up some new growths next year. That is what's left of my many, many twinkles. So it's one, singular. That's all that's left of them. This is signatum, I think this is, Dendrobium, yeah, signatum. That's pulling on. It's growing kikis, yes, but it means there's life in the canes. So, you know, it's coming on. This may never recover, but it's going to be given a chance because of what it is. That's my awarded plant, what's left of it. It's probably lost, but the cane isn't shriveled. It's lost its leaves and it's still firm. So there might be just about enough energy in that to push up a new growth next year. This is another recovering plant, tortilli. And this is a couple of Hercoglossum kikis. These might look as though they've had it, but they haven't. They have got life in them, and they have got some roots. So again, they should push out some new growths at the appropriate time of year. So yeah, we've only found 2 to chuck out, and that basically is the workload for today. There's no, well, I could water all my pots today. It's reached the 10-day mark, but we've had dull cold weather, so there's not much growing going on, so they won't be using up the water at any great rate. So I'm quite happy to leave it another day. And it's bright light time. At long last, some sunshine and some blue sky. Unfortunately, it's flipping cold. And it is cold. I went out earlier and I reckon it's, what, 10 degrees, maybe 12 outside. And of course the sun doesn't hit the grow room. So none of that sun can generate any heat in here. It's currently 14 degrees. That's my daytime temperature. It's also my nighttime temperature. And the only way I can warm this up is to either bump the thermostat up and use the heater, which is too expensive, or open the door to the lounge, and the house is cold. So the orchids are going to stay cold. While we get this sort of weather, that's how it's going to be out here. They won't get much difference between day and night. It won't change much. On milder days, I am happy to open the lounge door and let the daytime temperature rise a bit out here. But there's nothing out here now that's desperate for heat. I mean, we've got some are virtually dormant this time of year. They, you know, that's how they are. And, you know, the cymbidiums have done most of their growing. Some of them are doing flowering. So they've done most of what they're going to do this year. And they'll wait for the longer days and the better temperatures. But as they're cooler, bottom end intermediate cooler growers, they don't need high temperatures. It's the day length that will get those going in the spring. And the same with a lot of other things. So yeah, and I mean the Miltoniopsis quite happy in these temperatures. So are the odont types, you know. So we've adjusted what we grow to suit how I want to grow. So I've made adjustments to the temperatures. I can't do much with the light out here. I'm not having artificial lights. It's too difficult a task for the type of plants I've got. Because if you have a light shining down on plants, then all of the plants need to be roughly the same distance from the light. Well, when all your plants are different heights, that's almost impossible to achieve. You have to start standing pots on things so that it levels out, if you see what I mean. And the lights that I can afford don't cover that big an area. So, you know, I'd have a light on that would perhaps do maybe a dozen plants. I've got 160. How many lights is that then? So we're not doing artificial lighting. It's not practical with the different size and types of plants that I've actually got. So they have to put up with what they're given. And this one's starting to go over, which is a shame, but it's lasted a long time. It's still got some good blooms on it, so it's doing okay. This is the last spike on this one now. I think this has had 6 or 7 spikes. It's been in bloom for 4 or 5 months, like a succession of spikes, not an individual spike. This is the last one now. Again, that's growing out the pot. So the 2 main parts of the plant that have grown forward that produce all the spikes, they will become 2 plants, but not now. Again, we'll wait for things to start pushing on. I mean, this new growth here hasn't got up to full size, but it's bloomed. So given this time of year, I doubt if it will get up to full size now. But with the couple of bulbs behind it, it'll make a good separate plant for next year. And it's actually got two big back bulbs and another big back bulb, and then this growth. So that'll make a nice plant. And the other plant over the other side is roughly the same. So that's workload for next year, not for this year. Workload for this year is emergencies only now. I do still have some of the Phalaenopsis to repot, but I've got to go steady because I'm doing a repotting demonstration at our January meeting. So I've got to save one of the mini phals from Double H to repot as that demo. It has to be one of those. It's important because quite a lot of our new people that joined last year came to the tour for Double H, and quite a lot went home with an armful of orchids. Yeah, well, it's important for them to see a repot. Yeah, as most of them are novices, beginners, so that's good. And I've worked out a way of this beastie that I'm holding in my hand. I've got a gadget, which is a game capture card. I've used it to actually go live with this camera before. So basically it takes the HDMI signal out of the camera into the game capture card, through the software on my laptop, out into another piece of software, which is OBS Studio, and once it gets to there, I can actually right click on the picture that the camera is producing, and one of the options is projector, and you click on that and it raises up a separate little box with just the picture in it and not all the headings and different options and everything that surround the picture, because you wouldn't want to project that. And then the laptop can just have an HDMI out straight into the projector. So when I'm doing my potting demonstration, I can have the camera project the work that I'm doing up onto the big screen. Because otherwise, only the people at the front are going to see what I'm doing. So I thought we'll get it projected up. We'll use a bit of the technology and the gear and the gadgets, and do it properly. So guess who's going to have to set all that up? Yeah. Oh well. I think it'll be worth it. Anyway, that's going to do for today. As I say, there's just not much going on out here at the moment, and that's how it is. It's the time of year. Insa's done a video, so when it gets dark tonight, look out for stars falling from the sky. I did warn him. You'll have to go and watch it if you want to find out what the hell I'm on about. But yes, he's up to things strange, I'll call them. They're not really strange, but they are for somebody who's not worked that way before. So who knows, one day I might go down that path for some orchids, but it won't be for many, and it's probably not gonna work. Insa gets a lot of heat in the summer, and he also gets much better day temperatures in the winter than I ever do. So his watering is always more frequent than mine. My watering at this time of year is next to nothing. It's just enough to keep the plants alive. We're not in active growth in many places at all. So it really is just a trickle and to keep things ticking over. So the workload's gone right down for me. And I'm going in now because it's cold out here and I've only got a shirt on. I'm starting to rattle here. Yeah, it's not very warm in here, as I showed. So we found two things to throw away, and that's the value. See, now I will go and update my notes and delete those lines, and yeah, and adjust my total number of plants as I always do. I mean, this is the sort of thing that happens when I water normally. You know, I have anything that's just had it and just not, you know, not even trying. They normally get discarded while I'm watering. And I was going to water today, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave it another day. And tomorrow I'm going to have a look at a few pots before I even think about doing it. Yeah, I'm going to check. Just have a look round some pots. The ones that I know stay wet the longest, and just see how wet they actually are. It'd be nice to separate my plants into three. I mean, I've already got my cooler, shadier sets. They get watered separately. So do the Phalaenopsis, and so do the Cymbidiums. And then there's the rest of my pots. You know, so I've already got 4 sets that get watered on different frequencies. But out of all of my normal pots, I really could do with splitting them into 2, but it would be very difficult to work it. The 2 sets would be those that dry out quickest and those that don't, because then they could be watered on a different frequency. But as I said, this time of year, with not much growing going on, I can get away with just, you know, missing some plants out now and again, and waiting for the next run. It's a long time in between waterings, but you know, I mean, I've still got some warm growers here that have virtually stopped dead in their tracks. There's 2 antelope dendrobiums up there. Well, they're not going to grow this time of year with these temperatures. There's a Vanda, there's a Renanthera, or Renanthera, however you say it. They're not happy, you know, but they're not dying. They're not going downhill. They've just stopped growing. They just go dormant and just wait for the longer days and the better temperatures. So there we go, 2 to discard, and it happens. We've had some new ones coming in recently. If you think, we've had 5 new Miltoniopsis recently, so we've got a net gain, 2 down, 5 up. Yeah, as long as it doesn't progressively go down, then we're doing okay. But you know, it's how orchid collections go. New stuff comes in one end, and stuff that's not doing well or failed goes out the other end. And in a big collection, there'll always be some of those. So, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Just sort of chatty thing and a look at some stuff today. Not much.